Hi guys, and welcome back to another review. In one of my previous reviews, I think I mentioned that I'd backed the Wrath of Frejya Kickstarter. Not hugely. Sometimes I have to say I do like some of the little Kickstarters where you're able to pick one or two bits out that you like and not have to dump in on the entire range sort of thing. Because I'm not, sometimes I like stuff enough to go, yeah, I want to throw a bit of money at that to help you realise it, but I don't like, I don't want or need all of the figures. So for those of you that run Kickstarters out there, maybe take that on board, because there are some. There's one at the moment for the Confrontation from Rackham, and there's a company that's doing that, and it's literally, there's one pledge and it's quite a lot of money and you get like everything. One, I don't trust that that's going to come through, because there's just so much stuff. I don't see how that's going to work. And the second thing is, I don't need that many things. It's one of the reasons why I haven't gone in on a Bones Kickstarter so far, because it seems the best way to do it is by the bulk pledge. But the thing is, I don't need that many figures, and they're not like hugely valuable figures. So regaining that outlay for them, even though they are really cheap in the Kickstarter, is going to be a lot of hassle. Anyhow, so this is the Wrath of Frejya figures I got from the Kickstarter. But I also thought I'd throw in, so Annie's been through, I think if you go and look on Bad Squiddo Games on the Facebook and on Twitter and things, Annie has had to, well, I say had to, she's chosen to move her business from being in, I think, I think she's in Cardiff. That's where it was, in or around Cardiff, near, well, Wales. Let's go Wales. It's easier. I can get it right that way. It's over in that direction, and then she's moved it to Leadbelt territory near Nottingham. And so in the move, she was clearing out things that she'd had kicking around she doesn't need, which is what we all do when we have a move. But she's really cool. She always puts stuff up for sale for cheap if she doesn't need it, or at the end of the range or something like that. And I managed to pick up these, I can't even remember how much, but it was very reasonable. And she threw in some spare heads that she had for them as well, so they've all got heads and some, I think, some guns. Or I ordered some heads and she threw in some guns, that's what it was. As it turns out, I actually had some spare heads, so I got loads of lady spare heads, which is cool, because I might do some Imperial Guard using those heads. We'll see. But also I ordered an Able Space Woman, which is from the Statuesque Miniatures range. So again, these guys I have, or I say guys, ladies, I have already got some of, and I bought these ones to be more, to add. I have this kind of Resistance Fighters force, which are like very ragtag feel, sort of near future sci-fi force that are meant to, in my universe, fight against anybody that's trying to take over their planet, for example. And because they're a bit like, I suppose you'd say a bit like the Russian forces of World War II. They weren't concerned who had a gun in their hand. They were quite happy as long as they were like nailing the Germans or anybody else that was resisting them, or they were happy. So that's kind of where I was going. This kind of feel, more like a partisan kind of feel. So they're going to reinforce that, and I have got some other figures to go with those as well, some Coppleston ones. And obviously that's the Able Space Woman. She's got a torch. I don't think she's got an actual weapon holster, so it's kind of almost like a maintenance crew member. But I really like her. I have to say, the statuesque stuff is brilliant. As you'll see in the lineups, in terms of height and stuff, they fit really quite nicely with Hassle-Free. They're a little bit, I mean, the thing is, this is with Copplestone is on the chunkier side of things. This is an older style of sculpting, but I find they mix in quite nicely with those. So yeah, they'll fit in with those kinds of things. Now, it's worth looking at statuesque if you want to add some like female heads to your figures, because they do, I believe, at least 3 different sizes. So the sizes that fit with their figures, and then they do like a heroic scale size, and then they do a heroic but slim head style size, I think, something like that. Anyway, there's 3 different ones, and it explains it better than I can on the statuesque site. Again, all available through Bad Squiddo, and which makes it like becoming a bit of a one-stop shop, which is massive when you're talking about ordering stuff online, because it means, you know, you're paying less postage rather than several different orders from different companies. So I got Fenrir the Wolf. Really nice. I like how his hackles are up and his shoulders are arched in that way to sort of suggest the anger and the menace. I'm not actually sure who sculpted this. It might have been Philip Hines of Bare Head Miniatures. I'm not sure, but it's fantastic, and I'm pretty sure it says on her website, because Annie's really good at showing who the sculptor is. But yeah, I wanted a sort of menacing looking wolf for Frostgrave, and just, you know, for fantasy encounters and stuff whenever I do some dungeons and things like that. It's a really nice large wolf. I guess if any of you wanted to do your own Game of Thrones stuff and source alternative figures, because there are, I think Dark Sword do some, and then obviously there's the ones that came in the game that Cool Mini or Not have done recently. But yeah, if you want an alternative character for Wolf for that, then I think this is your first port of call, because he's big. Now these two I bought for my wife, really. She's going to be playing some Saga with me, which I mentioned in a previous review, and I needed to get something that I knew she would like and that could lead her army and add a bit more character to her army, basically. So I've got a couple of the hassle-free figures, but this is actually Frejya. And she, when I say I bought it for her, she picked her out. I backed it for the wolf, but then I showed her the Kickstarter page, and she really liked Frejya. Now I've been told I'm not allowed to paint her until my wife has picked the colours that she's going to be in. So I shall wait. I think I need to double check, but Annie had some like colouring in pages for Salute to keep young uns and old uns happy, as it turns out. As something a bit alternative to do, and I think they were Frejya, so I need to have a look and see if there's like a JPEG or anything of those kicking around, because I can print one off and then that'll become like the painting guide for me. But I also bought Banner Bearer. I didn't get any of the other ladies at this time because I wasn't sure how to mix and match them in yet. I also bought the Saga rules from Annie as well. That was the other part of the Kickstarter, that I added it on afterwards, to the new Saga rules. So I suppose I should get those and just spank them down here. Now, I've played a bit of Saga before, but I'd normally use friends' rule books and battle boards. I'd even scanned a battle board in and photoshopped the numbers, the dice out to be numbers, because buying a set of dice for each faction is kind of annoying. So I've done that before. I might look at doing that again for some of them, but it's, you know, some people are kind of complain about the price of it. Now, so far as I was aware, Saga was never what I would call a cheap set of wargame rules, and by that I mean it was never Osprey, you know, the things like Frostgrave and stuff, like £10–15 kind of set of rules. These were all always more expensive, but I sometimes think it's worth it, and you're getting nice full colour pictures. This is the way they've done it now. I actually prefer, because in the past, like with the Dark Ages side of things, you had to buy the Saga rules, which were I think £20–25, around that kind of area, and that came with I think 4 different factions. That's kind of cool. You think, oh, that's kind of cool, there's 4 different factions, but then there's like 2 or 3 other books which had another 4 factions in each one, sort of thing. And then you had the Crescent and the Cross book, which introduced other rules that you could use in the Dark Ages, and it became quite convoluted, and you needed to have everything for different rules for different things. This here is the basic Saga rulebook. Now this is the basis. If you want to play the Dark Ages, you buy this, which is £10. So I think this is brilliant, because if you're a member of a club and you say you don't want all of the different armies, and you know the rules well enough to just, I don't know, you just want the battle board for your force, and you already have a good understanding of how it works or something, or you want to share the Dark Age book and have a battle force, this is brilliant, because it's 30 quid. This is 10 quid, sorry, and the era specific parts are 30. Now I have to say the pictures are really nice. This one, I love how they've painted the oxen on the front of the cart. It's fantastic. Makes me want to buy a cart with oxen on the front of it. The layout is brilliant, and I love the character of the book. So I mean, it's very basic, but just like the parchment texture that they've gone for in the background of the page, how they've got little special rules, things that stick out a little bit more. Yeah, just generally it's a really nice book, really nicely laid out, and it makes you appreciate that the money for this is going to the people that wrote it as well. It's not just it's not a publishing company or anything like that. It's they make rules. So then you've got all your battle boards, and these all came with the sort of what I call the genre book, which is £30. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right, so there's 12 factions in there. That is 8 more than you got in the original starter book. And when you consider that alone, would mean you were getting the other add-on sets, which I think were about 15 quid a shot. I think the sort of Age of Arthur one is a bit more expensive, but that's still valid for this edition. It's different, kind of a slightly different era book. It's a little bit earlier period. But anyway, you've got 12 in here. Plus, there are a couple of pages in here which show you how to use the different battle boards for additional forces. I think there's a couple of things that you change, and it says on there that you might use a certain board, but you change a certain thing on it. So I think there's a couple more yet in there as well. The cool thing is, this has all of the rules for things like banner bearers and stuff. So between these two, sorry. But in this one as well, it also has all the rules for the things like the specialist units that you could get, but you had to look elsewhere for. So things like priests. There's legendary units. There you go. For different factions, you can get. There's shield maidens. They're sort of like a Hearthguard unit, so very rare. So even those people that don't like the idea that there may have been units of women with Vikings, they still catered for those that do want that diversity. I have no issue. I think who cares? It's for me I like the Dark Ages because there's myth about them, and when you read the things like the sagas and stuff like that, there are shield maidens, there are women warriors. Why get hung up on it? If you want a true historic game, then play without them. Simple as. If that's how you feel history was, I like to have fun and I like diversity, so I'll have them in mind. But yeah, it's got all of them. It's got the angry monks in the rules as well. So it's got all of the different units that you might actually want to add to your forces. Seeing as I'm going to be having Saxons, I definitely need to have the angry monks amongst mine, I believe, just to make it fun. So yeah, that was my what I put in for my Kickstarter from Annie, and picked it up from Salute. So yeah, guys, I'll do some shots of those a little bit later on for scale comparison purposes. For the Wrath of Frejya, I'll be using some of the historical stuff to go alongside them, and maybe a bit of fantasy for those of you who want to use with fantasy as well. And obviously with the statuesque stuff, I will put them alongside things like hassle-free and other sci-fi. Probably a Space Marine, because that, you know, it seems to be the best comparison for everything, because nearly everybody can grab a Space Marine from somewhere. Anyway, moving on to my next review. So I shall catch you guys again very shortly. See you later. Bye bye now.